We welcome you to the Priscilla R. Tyson Cultural Arts Center for our Conversations and Coffee. I'm Ellen O'Shaughnessy, coordinator of the program. We gather and celebrate leap year on this 29th day of February 2024. Why this extra day of February? Timing calls Mother Earth to be recorded accurately about the actual 365.242 days that Mother Earth makes her way around the sun. An extra quarter of a day each of the 4 years, unaccounted for. So, if we didn't have leap year making up for the loss in timing, we would have the 4th of July in the middle of winter. So, we leap into this day and celebrate our timing on the 4th of July in the summertime. Sound good? You for it? Yay! And on this 29th day of February, we leap with delight and celebrate our artist, Newton Crabbe, known to many of us, yes, as Newt. I have shared the story that when we went to Paris from the Cultural Arts Center in October of 2016, one of our highlights was taking drawing lessons along the banks of the Seine. Newt was with us. Kathy, you were with us. Bob, you were with us. It was wonderful. The art teacher in Paris said to me, as he saw Newt's drawings, he should be teaching this class. Beginning at age 3, Newt started to love drawing. He loved it so much that when he ran out of paper around the home, his parents gave him the paper grocery bags, which he would then soon fill up, wanting more. Early inspiration came from Newt's great aunt June, whom he and his parents lived with to help take care of her as she aged. Newt can still remember sitting on her lap as they would look at the beautiful pictures from her collection of books that encouraged him and his drawings. Eventually, Newt found his niche in painting and chose acrylic paint as the medium that could best express his talent and artistic visions. So we are surrounded by this beauty. He was attracted to landscape painting and would often be found standing out in nature, painting the amazing scenes that he wanted to capture. His paintings, the far west Columbus and Galloway, Ohio, have recorded the history of the farms and the barns, the noted foundation of the area. At Westland High School in Galloway, Newton studied under Wes Blizzard, arts educator. Wes was well known in Columbus and throughout Ohio. He created and chaired for many years the annual statewide Ohio Governor's Youth Art Exhibition, now in its 53rd year. Wes Blizzard recognized Newt's natural talent and well-practiced skills, and he set up Newt as an independent student with an art professor at OSU's campus for Newt's senior year in high school in 1974, before high school students could take and earn college classes before their graduation, as they do now. After high school, Newt attended CCAD for a year and a half. Newt considered his future of possible fame and fortune as a struggling, starving artist against being a full-time employee with a steady income for eating and paying bills. This is Marilyn's wonderful reflection on this. And Newt informing you, right? This practical path won out, but his love for art, though not becoming his work or a business, flourished and continued as a joy, completing his artwork on his own time and terms. He shares his art with others as he generates art shows in libraries, banks, churches, among other places and businesses, for both his paintings and 3D butterfly creations. How many have witness those butterfly yes. And one of the most wonderful times was in Trinity Episcopal Church when the entire church, yes, you saw it, was filled with his butterflies. It was a wonderful celebration. Well, what Newton calls his morning doodles, with which he starts the day over breakfast, were inspired by his travels to Europe. His artistic response to the European architecture and landscapes sprouted a change in the medium he was familiar with. He found that the detail he could express in the pen and ink drawings, primarily black and white with little forgiveness for mistakes, to be the preferred method to represent the amazing beauty he encountered in countries like France and Italy and Germany. As Newton's finished drawings grew in number, he decided to construct, print, and disperse calendars made from his detailed drawings as gifts to galleries, businesses, fans, art enthusiasts, friends, and family. Early in his retirement, Newt became a regular at our Conversations and Coffee. He participates in conversation and has been a presenter. Newt shares that the Conversations and Coffee and the community it brings has brought to him an art connection with opportunities to learn, be inspired by, and commune with other artists of many fields and mediums who also strive and struggle to invent and grow in their artistic gifts and gestures. Don't you love how he says that? Wow, thank you. Newt's dedication to expressing his art and sharing his talent with us are true gifts. So thank you, Newt, for being with us today, and Marilyn for being with us as Newt's wife and administrator, for sure, and helping us prepare for today. So we're leaping into time with you. So take it away. Yeah.
Hey, thank you, everybody. I'm here to talk about the creating of the calendar that I do every year. And creating a calendar is more complex than you think. And Marilyn helps with the writing and where it is and all that. And having the printer print it is quite interesting how they go about the whole process. And when I'm in Europe, I'm taking thousands of photos. And a lot of times you're thinking, why is Newton taking a photo of a trash can? Because the trash cans over in Europe is not the same as over here. And maybe I'll be taking photos of a sewer grate or something like that. But when you're creating a photograph or a painting, you need a lot of information. And the information, I have to look at my own photos. I have books of Europe, and we have to get on the computer and this and that, because when you go around Notre Dame, I don't know how many times I have been around Notre Dame, and basically, I don't have the photo of that corner, or this, or that little teeny thing that drives me completely out of my mind. And people don't realize I'm taking tons of research just to make the page on the calendar. When I'm sketching, normally I sketch very softly, and then I put it in ink. If you mess up in ink, you're done. There's no comeback. In pencil, you can erase it, and I do it very lightly, like when people do a watercolor. Normally, they sketch in kind of where they want to do it. But, you know, looking at the calendar, you know, this one here, I had to take had looked at many of my photographs in books and on computer things, basically how to put everything together. When you're doing a page, you got to make everything fit properly onto the page. You become the director of that page. And when you're the director, you got to put everything in. And what the camera sees is not what you're trying to put on the page. And the page is, you got to have it present itself. And when it presents itself, it comes out, kind of nice. And I don't work on one thing all the time. I might be working at like my morning doodles, drinking my coffee, watching the traffic go by, which I enjoy. That's the whole thing of starting my morning art, is I get up in the morning, and the first thing I say, I have to go down and get my morning coffee, my iced coffee. And basically, it kind of, I sit and I draw and stare out the window. Sometimes people come up to me and says, "What are you doing here?" I'm just drinking my morning coffee and I'm drawing, and then we get into a conversation about art and what art's all about, and when you can share your art with people, and that's the greatest thing you can do, is share the art, and basically that's what I kind of like doing. And talking about traveling with some of the people, this and that, when you have a lot of contrasts over here. Normally I paint old barns and landscapes and rusted, broken windows and stuff like that. This more gives the people a lonely feeling. And with my European paintings, they give more of a color and brightness to a feeling. And then when you're an artist, you're trying to get that feeling to the public. And it's always interesting that actually be hanging a bunch of paintings in a gallery or a bank or a church or a library or whatever. And you always have this one person would come up. I would have some modern paintings over here and some barns and landscapes. And always like, we had one guy, he was looking at one of my paintings. He was looking at all of them. And he said, the one with lines and colors, this artist must be mentally ill. And he's looking at this barn and landscape. And basically, and he was saying, this guy's got it all together here. This guy over here doesn't have it all together. He's got mental problems, and I always like talking to the public, because you always get interesting stuff from the public. One place I had it hanging, it was that every Sunday this person would come and look at the same painting for a month. He would stand and just look at this old barn painting for about 20 minutes, and I would be sitting in the chairs just trying to think what's going through his, mental thoughts looking at the painting, and I always learn that's basically what I like, the public doesn't like. And that just kind of irritates me a little bit, I think this is the greatest painting, but they think that over there is the greatest painting. And basically, you got the whole thing going on,
Well, Newt, tell us among the paintings here, and I know we're
Well,
sharing calendars.
We're going to be getting to that.
Oh,
We're
are we?
following.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
wonderful.
can
What's
I
it like?
take over for just a
Yes.
moment? To share with you today, one of the first things Newt wanted to do is make you feel like you were in Europe when you were in here. So we did bring his paintings. We'll explain. We're going to take you on a journey of how he began to do this, because he was a painter for over 50 years. That was his identity as an artist. And once we traveled, which started in 2001, over to Europe with trips that are by, we have group leaders that are Ron and Cheryl Sonar, and in the back of any of our calendars, which are up here for you to look through if you want to, it gives the information. You can take a picture of this or whatever if you're interested in traveling with them. They're doing a trip to Ireland this Easter, and next spring they'll be taking a trip that goes through France from Paris and then to the south. They have lots of things to see throughout France, and then down to the Mediterranean. You'll be in Nice, and then also Monaco. So that's quite a trip. We've been on it before. So that is information is in the calendar. The matted work that is around, all of them are for sale for like $25. They are a print of his actual sketches. And so if you would like to purchase one today, you're welcome to just after the program, walk over, take one, and come and see me, and we'll take care of that. Now, we're going to be showing you images of Newton's calendar drawings. He started doing calendars in 2009. He started drawing in pencil right after visiting Europe. Now, he can draw. He's a painter, but he didn't draw like this until after he was inspired by everything that he saw in Europe. And then he started turning them into pen and ink. And when he was getting so many together, he thought of the idea of creating the calendar. Now, we do have finished and unfinished paintings around the room to bring in color because his pen and ink drawings are all black and white. So it's amazing how he went to being an artist who can use any color on the palette to being one who would restrict himself to just black and white. So hopefully he'll explain some more of that as we go through here. Now, we also have up here some of his sketchbooks, if you're wanting to look through them afterwards, and also the different years of calendars are laid out here. And you can pull one of those out and just glance through them as much as you would like. Now, we also will have matted work that you'll see up here, and we'll also pass it around so you can see it up close. When Newt decided to do the calendar, he connected. Do you remember the name of the printing company?
Yeah, D&C Graphics.
At the end, the very last slide, we'll have that up there in case you think, hey, I could make a calendar of my work. Okay, now, of course, you can go to Walgreens or someplace and print them up as long as you don't want too many. But because he makes around 300 to 250, he needed to go to an actual printing company. They will take the images that we selected. We pick which picture we want for what month, and then we give them the writing. They set it all up for the print. They do the whole calendar pages. They do everything else. And they put it in and they print it up. He gets to proof it. Not only do they copy it and print it, but they assemble them, they staple them, they do everything. We get them back just like this. So it's really, really nice. Okay? Well, I hope you enjoy our journey. Are you ready to start?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. Over here, the first slide I call them slides because I'm old school. But the first one that we have for you is where Newton does this work. This is him at Burger King, sitting there drawing. Now, he started doing the morning doodles after he retired, and that way every morning he could go and do this. Did you start doing weekends before you retired, or just?
I think I did, yeah.
Yeah, because he still was enjoying sketching. Do you want to wear your crown?
Not right now.
I'll set it right there.
Yeah.
Okay. And he does call these his morning doodles, which everybody just goes, come on. But for him, working on this day by day, and you can see he's got a book there that is referring to, and different things like that. Now, for the next one, we have one more shot, because, you know, one's not enough. Now, oh, we missed a slide.
They're both together, I think.
Yeah, it looks like there's two together.
Can I do anything about that?
Yeah, it's divided, so yeah, it's
It's
divided.
all right, we see it. It's okay.
Okay, well, we got, oh yeah, here he is, right here. It's his silhouette. He's looking out at Broad Street, West Broad, and he likes to stare off into the traffic every now and then just to take a break from his eyes, focusing on his work. Now, this is a sketch that he did. We think it's around junior high age. Now, if you look at it, it looks like a cathedral. It almost looks like Notre Dame. And he had, of course, not traveled there, but this is where the love affair with Europe began. And then ended up, for being 50 years of being a painter, he turned around and now can draw in the pen and ink in detail. You still need me to do in the mic? I'm so sorry. Okay, so then we're going to go into him talking about the paintings that are around the room. And the next one, I guess I'm going backwards now. I should look at the button that's got the most worn to know that that's it. All right, this is, oh, no, that's the best we're going to get. It didn't look like this when we sent them. Here we go. Now you can talk about your paintings, finished and unfinished.
Okay, if you look at this one, you can actually see you're coming out of the subway. And that's Mr. Robert. And that's Mr. Robert. And Mr. Robert is right here, the model.
And that's the lovely hat.
And then you can look at Mr. Robert on the painting over there. Yes, Mr. Robert. And basically, we had a lot of good times in Paris. And that's one of the sketches that turned into a ink drawing that went into a painting and went into the calendar. Yes.
And now I want you to get up and go to your paintings that you're
You want me to talk about the paintings?
We have paintings up here basically because we wanted you to know that he didn't stop painting.
Yeah.
And he still paints a lot of the same things he did before. But he
Yeah.
also paints the European scenes. Some of these come from his sketches.
Yeah. This one came from one of my sketches right here, and a lot of photographs. And when you're creating a painting, you want to get the feeling and the emotions out of the painting. And you look at this painting right here, you can see the sun coming up and hitting the buildings. And then you hear the gondolas, if I said it properly.
Gondolas.
Gondolas. I have a
Gondolas.
speech impediment. I'm sorry.
Well, excuse our European languages, both of us.
I'm working on it. Anyway, you can see the sun is hitting the gondolas. And it gives, if you've been in early in the morning in Venice, you can see the sun coming up and hitting the water, this and that. And we did a sketch of that, and it was in the calendar.
One of the calendars.
One of the calendars.
He's done calendars for 16 years now.
And basically, this one here, I wanted us to show that the moon and the fog coming in. I want that certain feeling of the blue hitting the person who's seeing it. If you look back and you see the fog, this and that, and the waves coming in, it gives us certain.
You're good. Good. It's still working. Oh, it's still working.
And basically, you just wanted to get the fog and the grass and this and that. It gives
Yeah.
a certain feeling.
This is Mont Saint Michel, I
Yeah.
think they pronounce it. It is a cloister abbey,
Yes.
and it was built setting in to there. It's about 1 kilometer away from the shore in France. But what was interesting about this is that at low tide, there's actually a walkway that connects to the walkway here, that pilgrims and people who needed to get there could actually, at low tide, do that. But this caused them, it's like having a real big moat around, because this is the waterway between France and England, which would be, does anybody know the name of that waterway? English Channel. That sounds familiar. Sorry, the brain only works about half. It was so protective that one of the kings of France decided to make it a prison and used it for a prison for many years. You know what the total population that lives on that island? 29 people. And they're probably Catholic monks or nuns. Yes.
Marilyn, talk about the big wheel that the monks would get on.
Oh, well, the one thing that I remember clearly about going through there is, without looking at my pictures, is that they had this giant wooden wheel that looks like a hamster wheel. And they would say that there would be 2 monks that have to get into that wheel, and they have to walk the wheel to make it turn. And that was used to bring the supplies that they needed up from the boat or whatever that would bring it to the shore, and it would get it up into the actual abbey or cloister. Yeah, so that's what they used. But it was very interesting to see how they, that was their elevator.
About the color behind you, in the painting behind you.
Right here.
Where'd you get that sense of color?
A lot of times, I'm just working down the studio, and basically, if that color looks right, I put it in. And a lot of times when you're working in with acrylic, you have to work very quickly. And the sky is probably the hardest thing to do with acrylic, because you got to put down quickly, because it dries. And then over the decades, I have learned to work with the acrylic and do certain tricks to enhance the sky, this and that. But the sky, working with the sky for acrylics is not like working with oils. Oils dry very slowly. You can work with it very slowly. Acrylics, you put it down, it's dry in a minute. About a minute or so, it's dry.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, and
What you were doing.
yeah, and basically, acrylics, you could only do certain amount. You can actually look at an acrylic painting and actually look at an oil painting, and for me, I could tell immediately what an oil painting is immediately and what an acrylic painting, just by looking at the process. And then over here,
Yeah, since Newt started so young as an artist, a lot of his talent and skill is very natural, and it's hard for artists who just know. They don't necessarily know how they know or how they do it. It just comes to them naturally.
yes, but having a little bit of schooling and having people look with you and work with you, it enhances your abilities to do the art. It's just like figure drawing. I worked under Dennis Drummond, and he was
CCAD.
yes, he is, and he was extremely strict. And basically, you would have to keep working and working till you actually became a part of your brain with the pen and the ink, and it's just the sketching very quickly. And you learn that your brain and your hand is basically the same. and you're just working and you're just playing, then all of a sudden you have an image. And that's more of another type of discipline. And then when you're painting, you gotta, you know, I did a lot of open air paintings back decades ago, going out to the west side of Columbus where I used to live and grow up, in Galloway.
Oh, we still live there.
Yeah, we still live there. And basically, you had a lot of farmland, this and that. And I used to do a lot of open air paintings. You know, I used to get out the easel and the paint. And then again, I'm working with acrylics, and you got to do very quickly. And then you take it back to the studio, and then you put in the detail work, so and so. And like this painting here, I think I had a lot of photos of that, and I wanted the sun coming in a certain angle, going and hitting the buildings at a certain angle, and then having this kind of dark, light, watery, you know, magical thing coming in. I wanted that certain feeling. And like C said, we had a, C came in and said, my apartment was over here. And
It was a hotel room
hotel room.
in the
But-
middle of those 3 balconies. Was
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Inga, come on and show us where you were.
Yes.
Right here. And you could open these shutters, and it was, the balcony was big enough for the 2 front legs of a chair. You'd sit there, and it was February, because I had gone to the Carnival in Venice, and I was sitting out there with my coat on, like today, I had a blanket off the bed, but there was a parade going through the canals for the
Aw.
Carnival.
They do
And then
parades as well.
fireworks, and I had front row seats to the
Oh, that's
That is great. Wonderful.
Yes, you know, and doing this painting, it's basically, it has sat in the warehouse for many years, and I got it out, and I liked it, you know. And basically, sometimes you bring them back out, and looking at your own work, you know, as the artist, I'm saying to myself, I need to do this, and need to do that, and after so long, you just learn to leave it alone. You just learn to leave it alone.
One of the most valuable things an artist can learn is when to stop.
Yes, and sometimes you don't know when to stop. You know, when you're doing the detailed barn paintings and this and that, and you just keep going. One day I was down there looking at gondolas and looking at the poles and all that, and
Can I turn that a little bit?
yeah,
I got it.
okay. Yes. And basically, I wanted, and not all the time, all my paintings are super detailed. I just wanted to work with the colors on this one. The colors. I thought the colors would bring certain feelings out. And then the way Venice spells their way of spelling Venice, I put that down there. I thought that would be an interesting thing. It kind of looks like a poster, and I felt like doing it that way. Just be so and so.
Earlier, you mentioned that you like to look at a lot of different things at the same time. So would that mean that you work on that for a while and leave it and go to that?
When I'm down in the studio, I got probably about 50 paintings I'm working on, but I pick out maybe 10 that I constantly work on, then I put them back, because if you focus on one painting and it's all you're doing is focusing hours and hours on one painting, you start doing mistakes, and then you get burned out.
Now, do you do that with your drawings as well?
Yes, yes, I do. And basically,
This is his sketchbook that all these pictures originate in.
this is what I'm working on right now. There's one right here. And that's, oh, where is that?
Plus, you would think you get eye strain
Yes, doing the little detail work and all that, you could see. Yeah. Yeah, that's the little ink things. And basically, I'm gonna share you with some of them little pens. And here,
As soon as you're done there, we'll go on to your next slide, okay?
okay, you could kind of see right in here. No, the less oil from your hands, the better off. Yeah.
Okay, so we wanted to show you the full color he has here. When his other paintings were mostly landscapes, they did not involve a lot of people or portraits, and he hadn't drawn those things for years. So one of the ways that he started, and I'm really sorry for the quality there, those are not like little points. Newt, you're I think in front of the
Oh,
slide
I'm
there.
sorry.
Those aren't done with little points.
Pens here.
Those are done with lines, but he had to practice drawing different positions, drawing hands, drawing faces, drawing expressions. So while he was working with his European drawings, the pen and ink, he did do this. Now that's drawn in pencil, and that might be why it's showing up the way it is. But there's a woman who's smoking, sitting at a table, and the man in a rocker with a cowboy hat. And then here you have a fashion model with the Eiffel Tower, and then a woman sitting in a chair with a crutch. I think that's what you would call that, right? Mm-hmm. A cane or crutch. So he practiced different things. Now, this set of images, you're going to see at the bottom, you have his rough sketch, and then you have the finished one up at the top. And again, these are not coming out really as good as we had hoped.
No. Mm-mm. But when you're doing a sketch very quickly, like I said, when you're working in ink, you can't erase it. You know. That's
And when
it.
you're painting and you make a mistake,
I can paint over it.
If they have mistakes in them.
No. Normally, normally when I'm sketching, if I see a small kid, early in the morning, if I'm at Burger King drinking my coffee, you have some young kids or something, you know, they come up and say, well, what's this? You know, and I explain to them it's art. I'm making some art. I'm putting it in the calendar. And if I have a rough sketch or something like that, I just sign it my little fancy signature, and they get a big kick out of that. And I always say, here, you can have that, and just put it in a book. Forget about this, you know. But I'm pretty sure a lot of them get destroyed.
yeah, and this is an image, of course, in Venice again. I believe the bridge, that might be the Bridge of Sighs back there. We'll talk about that a little bit more later.
Yeah, if you look at this right here, this is a scribble down here. And I think we got some finer photos over there. And you can see the ink drawing with the fine pen, how I'm taking this quick image and making it into the ink drawings that we have, you know.
This is ARC. This is a Triumph ARC that is done in Paris. It's at the end of the Champs-Élysées.
Yeah.
And there's a huge roundabout, and I don't even know if you can see, but he's drawn in cars on the roundabout. This thing is so big. We struggle sometimes with our roundabouts around our city, but this thing has 12 intersecting roads. And when they go out on there, there's not like defined lines. They don't need things like stop signs or
they have no
lines
crosswalks
to
over there.
drive in. Yeah.
We have-
So you have people just choosing a spot in the road and others driving around them, and you're not seeing accidents. It's amazing. But over here in the United States, we have a tendency to want to control everything. So
Yeah.
The trick there is don't make eye contact.
Yeah, and trying to get to the arch over there, you go under and then up. You know, there's no crosswalks at that unit.
So yeah, you don't cross that road. You
No.
you go under the
Yeah.
road, and then back up to investigate the arch. Did we ever do that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now this one is the stair steps that take you up to Mont Martet. I had this down.
Montmartre steps. Montmartre.
Montmartre, yes. And you go up and down from here. Our groups like to walk a lot. Now, we only travel for a 10-day trip. So Newt doesn't have time to set up an easel and paint on the spot. And that's why he has to take photos. And we're going to be showing you some of the photos and then the finished sketch as well. And Montmartre is a place where the artists have lived. They had many famous artists that were in this area, and I think it's in my notes later on that I can tell you about. But they had studios up there, they lived up there, they sell their works up there. So you'll be seeing some of that later. That's the photograph, and it came out really grainy when we blew it up. Newt does not use really high degree cameras. He only wants cameras to take information. They don't have to be perfectly clear. He snaps them like crazy. I'm so glad they created the digital, because before he did that, he would go through, you wouldn't believe how many rolls of film that we would have to bring home and then try to afford to,
Yeah,
to get 'em
Marilyn
printed.
takes a lot better photos than I do because he's more of the artist on that part, and he's more focused on how he's taking the photos.
The composition and the...
Me, I'm just taking that trash can, and in the back of my mind, I'm putting everything in my mind, but I'm looking at the photographs and all that when I'm working.
So here, and this is the Trevi fountain that you would throw your coin in if you wanted to return. And we have done that on our trip. Those are two photos that you can see that he had with information in them that helped him to create that. But like he said, he's still looking in books. He's still looking at postcards we collected. We bought a lot of books when we're over there. They're normally paperbacks so that you can get them in your luggage and take them home with you. But yeah, that gives you an idea.
And that
Do you ever sing while you're drawing? Like 3 coins in a fountain?
not yet. I'm probably headed in that direction one day. And looking at this one here, the little detail right up here, I had a lot of trouble looking at my photographs and looking in books and all that, trying to get that little detail. You know, when you look at the calendar and the real McCoy and the thing, sometimes that little detail really enhances, and you need that detail when you're actually doing the pen and ink and this and that, and it drives you bananas trying to get the information. And then I'm trying to put the information onto the page, you know.
How long would it take for you to do that arch with all?
Well, see, because he works on them 1 to 2 hours every day, he doesn't really keep track of that.
No.
But can you estimate?
What's that like? What's that like, dude?
I would say maybe if you really worked on doing that little thing right up here, I would say in that ink and trying to do it right,
And he does it in pencil first.
probably a good 15 hours just to do that one little. Yeah, you know, and then working in that little, I passed around that little ink pen, you can see how detailed that little pen is. And normally what I do is some drafting pens. A number 3 drafting, and the pen is quite, yeah. And then a little eraser. I use a little eraser to erase
That's for
the pen.
pencil.
and people that does watercolor, that's what they do. And doing watercolor is probably the hardest thing that I know in the art world to do, to get really true watercolors and pastels. Or it's like looking at how the people do that. And I did that long time ago, but I kind of like acrylic. I feel very calm working in acrylic.
We get a lot of these materials from Dick Blix. That's where his sketchbooks come from, and these pins. And the pins have replaceable nibs,
Yeah.
which he's having troubles getting right now.
Yeah, this company here. Yeah, this company here, you can replace the little nibs, and basically, I never figured out that that saves, because the little end of the pins, you know, it's drafting pins, this and that.
Yeah,
That's-
it's just like a felt tip marker. It wears down over time, but
Yeah.
you don't have to, buy a whole new
That's
pin.
just the drafting people. They use them pins a lot.
Now, when did you decide you needed these? Didn't you draw with other kinds of felt tips and found out? that
Yes,
one- that one-
and I just figured that company was the company I really enjoyed, because you could replace the pins, you know.
This is interesting. This is a Williams water fountain, and it's a Wallace. I'm sorry, not Williams. Wallace water fountain. He actually placed 50 of these around Paris. Now you can see that it's very ornate. He inherited a lot of money, had been around on the streets of Paris, and he decided he wanted to gift Paris with benefits of that money. And so he paid to install these. They have like a spring or something that feeds them underneath. And they're all around Paris, very ornate, sculptural, beautiful. He commissioned an artist to design everything. And he figured this way, anytime any person, whether they were rich or poor or homeless, would know of a place to go and get thirst, because many people in Paris walk, which is how we usually do our trips too, is a lot of walking through the city. It's a great way to get to know a city. And, but, they have beautiful public transportation in Paris to help everybody do that. Only the rich own cars. They think Americans are very rich because they hear that we own 2 or 3 cars for a family. And they're not only used to the very, very top people. They're a socialist company or country. So, you have your very wealthy, and then everybody else is kind of on a fixed place of income. And they do work, but their work week is more like a 35-hour work week. They don't work like 50, 60, 70, 80 hours like we do. It's very different because they believe more in living instead of just working to live. But anyhow, those were put in by a man named Wallace. And this is in Paris, and it's at the Flower Market, which is on the Isle de la Cité, which is where Notre Dame is.
Can we take any time for comments or reflections on what you're experiencing here?
He's got one.
Okay?
Yes, I just want to say that I find it interesting. I'm a musician, an artist as well, but spent a lot of time in Europe, all through Europe. And I find it very interesting that the way the things over there, the way they speak to us as an artist. I spent like from 81 to 95, 46 months out here in Great Britain, Paris, Switzerland, Holland, Germany, Malta, Lanzarote, Singapore, Bangkok, Spain, all over. But I really found like in their paintings and everything, just the way that the culture and everything, the way that it speaks to us as artists. And you just made a very interesting point too, as how the pace of life and living is. And I think that reflects to us, and in your case, from mind and hand to brush, and for me, from mind to sticks.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So it's kind of like the same process. And I find it very interesting, and you know, of course, I love it here and everything, this is home, but still, what I experienced in my many years of travel, the way that I was able to take that in and then put it back out through my music, and I find it very interesting the same sort of way, you know what I mean? Even like Talladega Foul, you know, I mean, just the fact of the detail and of you capturing all that and being able to put it, you know, on canvas. It's amazing. So,
You know, that we put our presidents on our money. We have also put other people on that were not a president, but they were politically known. Whereas over there, what they put on their money are artists, and that means of all areas, literary, musical, directors, producers. It's the artists that they raise up in their
just
culture.
respect for the arts, period. It's,
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And of course, that's why everybody wants to go to Paris to learn how to cook, to learn, you know, to be a chef, which is a type of artistic, venture. And that's why, you know, they have an artist community that's up this huge hill that has beautiful views of the city, you know?
Yes, and talking about the view of the city, if you see this here, we had a guide, and when we was with Mr. and Mrs. And this is at that church up there, but you can't see. Yeah. Anyway, that's my brother here, the flyer, and basically that was a guy doing chestnuts. He was selling chestnuts, you know, and basically the guide, me being an artist, I'm going to put the Eiffel Tower where I want to. The guide said, no, it's way over there. It's way over there. No, 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 I like it right here. And he was giving me a lecture why I should put it over there. And I said, you won't see it over there, you know. But being an artist, sometimes what the camera can't get, you can actually, you're the director of that page. And when that person with the camera, person that's working the camera is the director of that camera. And they know how to work that camera and do this. But when you're working on a page or canvas, what looks good on film doesn't look good on the page. And you have to keep working at it. And that's sometimes before I even hit the page, I might do 3 or 4 sketches and see how the lines will look before I put it on the page, you know. But that guide was very upset because I put the wrong place, you know, and he was extremely, giving me a lecture, you know. But he was a history major, and basically that would probably upset him anyway. But I thought that would look good right there. But when you're in Paris, and you see the Eiffel Tower, immediately you think Paris. Yeah, you know.
This right here is Plaza de España, which means Spain Square. It's in Seville, Spain. This is not even the most beautiful part of it. They have every area of Spain had like an area that they decorated and tiled and did beautiful work on to represent the culture of that area. Now, this was made for the Ibero-American Exposition, and it started in 1928, and they got it done in time for the Expo of 1929. But it's still there to visit, and they've got a lot of things from the exhibitions that we went through.
That bridge is amazing. You were saying it was taking 15 to 17 hours before. How many hours with the decor of that bridge?
Yeah, and this is all tile work in
Yeah.
here. You can't see the photos as well.
Yeah,
So we have,
Looking at Newt's drawing,
oh yeah.
Yeah, if you actually look at the what's in the calendar in the Roe McCoy that's up here somewhere, you could see in real life, you wouldn't, being an artist, you couldn't get all the detail. You would have to do certain things to that piece just to give you the feeling. And that is one of the places that you have to actually be there. It's like painting the Grand Canyon. You know, very few artists would ever attempt to paint the Grand Canyon if you're not there.
And even there, it's hard to capture.
Yeah, the captures, the
Your
feeling.
photos don't look like it. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure that,
Where did you paint this?
but now this one is, he took those pictures,
Yeah.
those photos, and then he did the drawing at Burger
Yeah.
King.
Oh, I see, at the Burger King, because you're looking at that picture.
Those
Yeah.
pictures and books and
Yes.
other things. Yeah.
Oh, it's
I have a
amazing.
question. So, of all your many places, is there one place that would be an example where you spent a lot of time before you took the picture and sat down to paint it, where you just gazed and it went through your senses, all the senses, and into your soul and out through your hand
Well,
eventually? So
yeah,
it's kind of
he-
like spending an hour just absorbing that scene. Have you ever had that kind of thing?
Yes, I do. It's Venice and Paris. And Paris has a certain feeling and emotions when you're walking Paris. You got the people, it's like going to Manhattan, you know, it's got a certain flavor. It's like going to Chicago, you know. Paris has a certain flavor, a certain emotions to it, a whole psyche, you know, in Paris. You know, what I don't like is I've been to Paris for one day. I didn't like it. You know, I had to go somewhere else. You know, I hear that, you know, and I hear people, you have to actually learn and get into the psyche of the people who live there and know something about their culture. And Venice, you know, is a very nice place.
Are we getting to the end?
We are.
Okay.
We are leaping into time from
Okay.
here. It wasn't as wonderful.
Yes.
You are amazing.
Thank you.
It's
Hey, thank you, everybody.
a great team.
Hey, you give a couple claps for my wife. She put it organized. Okay.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
I love Newt's love of conversations and coffee. Do you not just know when he puts his hand up? Yes, sometimes. Yes. We're going to have a great thought and insight. So thank you for all the times, too, that you're with us.
And the thing about the Cultural Arts Center and Coffee and Connections, me being an artist, I learn from other artists what they're thinking and their emotions and how they do stuff. I don't care if it's ceramics, paint, sculpture, or whatever. I'm learning from them. And art is always a learning process. We'll never get there because it's like climbing a mountain and you're trying to get to the top. You're never going to get there.